on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That music means it's time for our weekly confab with wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. But before we get to that,
yes,
I love doing the comparison contrast as all of these big cities run by Chicago Marxists in general. In this case, two Chicago Marxists, one from Aurora, that'd be Brandon Johnson, and the other from Barrington, that'd be Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston. Boston's spending $75 million a month on migrant shelters. That's a lot of money for a city of 650,000 people. Chicago has spent about $300 million that we know of so far. That's what's disclosed on this website that the city set up to feign transparency. You know, give the appearance of accountability, which is all that's demanded. Just the veneer is fine. Not real. $300 million bucks. So we've talked about this before. These politically connected real estate developers, particularly in the West Loop, and the sweetheart leases they were getting from the city for their corporate properties that were, I mean, sort of maybe retrofitted from office space to migrant shelters. But we don't really have the details. The website is not rich on details of in terms of the particular terms of these leases, the rates that are being paid, where resources are being distributed. Part of it is a Kansas-based company named Favorite Healthcare Staffing. That's the outfit that holds the contract to staff the city's migrant shelters. They've been paid more than $206 million to date. Well, let me tell you something. That $300 million figure just at least doubled, because if you pay the operator $206 million to manage, then you're not annualizing the costs of these leases that I assume are annualized, and all of the other associated costs incurred with trying to manage 30-some-odd thousand people that have come to Chicago, with most of them with virtually nothing. But I mean, I know that money's not a big deal to us.
Yeah, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. We're helping people. We're saving lives.
The also this too, just in terms of the crime beat, the ICE's ERO, their enforcement and removal options, not to be confused with ELO, the Electric Light Orchestra, that was fronted by Jeff Lynne.
Yes.
Although we could probably use some help. Maybe the ELO can be enlisted. Arrested a Venezuelan migrant in this country illegally, believed to be a member of Tren de Aragua, that transnational criminal organization out of Venezuela. Cicero police arrested this individual on February 24th for offenses including aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, no FOID card. Oh, really? No FID card. Shocking. Driving without a license or insurance. Really? And possession of cannabis in a motor vehicle. That's illegal now? This is our staple product in Illinois. Yeah, he did a drive-by in Little Italy, apparently. Allegedly. Mm-hmm. I'm just surprised the Cicero police were allowed to cooperate with ICE. When did we become so unwelcoming? For more on the migrant matter and related local issues, please be joined by Mark Glennon, founder of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Morning, Dan, Amy. Thank you.
So the tabs for being pro-sanctuary, being a sanctuary city, county, state jurisdiction and being pro-open borders, they're really starting to pile up. Not that anybody is noticing or paying particular care, but when you fold in the state, we're into the multiple billions of dollars, if that matters to anybody.
That's right, and you can't say this often enough. That $300 million, and NBC Chicago did a nice job explaining the lack of any clarity on what the real number is in Chicago. That's just the tip of the iceberg, for these asylum seekers in Chicago. There's all kinds of numbers that show that the number of illegals in Illinois is over 600,000, and the total national cost is, the estimates range from 150 billion to 451 billion. Illinois' share of that, this is state, local, federal, everything, is more like 6 billion. So the press keeps focusing on just that Chicago number, but boy, it's a whole lot more than that.
Well, 6 billion, just to provide some proportion, order of magnitude, or 6 billion represents what, about 12, 13% of the budget?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, and so does something have to give, or does Jelly Belly just go back to his buddy Jay Powell and ask for more bonds to be sold on our behalf?
He's tied to the mast with Biden on the border now. He's now always called a Biden proxy, even by his friends and the political allies and people in the press. So it's going to be pretty hard to disassociate himself from that. That's, Rich Kropotski proxy is going to really hang with him, and I think he's got a political problem.
But I mean, financial. Here's the problem. Nothing. It's like when we talk about the public sector pensions. Nobody believes they're ever going to. Well, not nobody, but the majority of people are either willfully blind or they don't believe the math, because you just never see it happen. It's never directly felt. I mean, at least people don't make these connections, and so I see the same thing here. So if we're spending $6 billion on 600,000 people in Illinois and in this country illegally, but I don't see anything giving. We're going to spend more money on K through 12 education. Nobody is saying anything about the Medicaid system. I'm talking about the big ticket items. We've got the big infrastructure bill that was passed not so long ago. So the trade unions are bought off. So where does the rubber meet the road? I mean, to me, that's the biggest problem we have is people don't see the rubber meeting the road. They don't feel it, or they don't make the connection of where it's actually happening slowly and methodically, like their houses being liquidated under their own noses.
Right. If it doesn't have a name attached to it, and a headline and a picture of some individual, it doesn't register with the public. I heard Davis Hansen had a wonderful article up where he said, you reach the point where the pain of weaning yourself off of a problem is so great that people just turn their eye on it and they just let it run. And that seems to be the situation we're in now, nationally and locally. The federal budget, of course, is running at twice the budget deficit is running at twice the level it was under Trump, and it was too high then. We've got massive stimulus program going on still, and it's like a drug dealer that gets to the point where he says, the pain of withdrawal is going to be worse than the harm I know this drug is doing to me. So they're past the point of no return, and that seems to be where we're going here.
Well, let's go back to Mayor Johnson. He made a big announcement yesterday that our park districts, we get our park districts back. But how is that going to work? Because they said this coming Saturday they're going to start relocating people. But what's the plan in the summer when more people come up because the weather's nicer? Are they going to set up tents outside of police stations again? Are they going to take back the park districts that we've been desperately wanting to get back?
Yeah, who knows? And who knows how many we'll get from Texas once the weather warms up. That Texas dropped that off, after the bold surge in January. There's been very few that have come up here since then. But prior to the convention, you have to assume that the buses are going to start arriving, if not train loads. And I don't think there's any plan for that. We'll see what they do. I have no idea.
But don't you see this as a sign? Like, I think that this was a message from the Biden administration saying, look, we want to win in November. This isn't working. Even Democrats are against what's going on at the border and what's going on at our park districts, and that, you got to give those back to the people. Or am I just a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, I think the political cost of this to the Democrats is so great, as you say, with even Democrats turning against this, that it's very strange why they're continuing to pay the political cost of this, and they're trying to ameliorate it in the ways that you said. No, but it's just not going to be.
But that's not. First of all, they don't oppose it. That the Democrats are not against this. That's in service of their fairy tale. They're not against this. If they were against this, they do something about it. And what they're actually doing about it, with respect to the big evictions on March 16th. How many people got quote unquote evicted? 3?
7. Yeah. Total.
And this is Dance of the Lemons, migrant style. Dance of the Lemons from Waiting for Superman, that Davis Guggenheim famously memorialized in his film, moving bad teachers from one school to another school to another school. This is the same thing you're having here. I'm not saying all the migrants are bad, but it's the same thing. We'll move them from this park because the heat's too much. We'll come up with some other space. We'll talk to one of our politically connected real estate developer dudes. We'll pay 3x market rate to put them in another office property or whatever. They'll move them around, and we don't know what the plan is because there's not a plan. It's a one-off. It's where can we move this group of people today? Where can we move that group of people tomorrow? It's happening in real time without any sort of vision for what to do, because it's just to try to move these pieces around to keep things going. Not just with the city, but also with the flow into the city from the outside. I mean, the Democrats couldn't be more clear about it. When you have a New York congresswoman saying, I need them for census, basically, maintain my boundary lines. We need them so we don't lose congressional seats in blue states because of the exodus of actual American citizens to other parts of the country. I mean, they're not opposed to it. They have no plan. This is just triaging the open call that they initiated. That's what's happening.
Yes, and I agree totally that the Democratic leadership is responsible for this. I was making the point that I think rank and file Democrats even are concerned about this, but it's just reactive. It's entirely reactive and incompetence. Who was that older woman that said, not ready for the fifth floor? Boy, that's the fifth floor is where the decisions are made at City Hall. The whole crowd is just not ready for the fifth floor there. They're making this up as they go along.
How are you finding the administration of elections in Cook County this cycle?
Oh, delightful.
Yeah.
We're 7 days in and we still don't know who the winner is.
Take your time.
It's very
take your
Chicago.
Time. Let it breathe.
Well, we had a lot of action from an article on our site and on Twitter. Pritzker actually went online and boasted about all the wonderful election reforms that he's made and how wonderful the process works in Illinois.
Yeah.
And he was just slammed by public opinion on this, overwhelming on Twitter and Facebook, ridiculing him on it. And this is gaining national traction. Now the story is, and this just doesn't work. I'm the vote by mail, obviously, and this is worth emphasizing. Even if you think that we have a solid, clean election process in Illinois, clearly we don't. The perception is not there. National polls are showing this. The public does not have confidence in the election process anymore. And once you reach that stage, whether it's just a perception issue or real, you got a real problem, because you're going to really stoke division. People are going to conclude that government is not legitimate, and then you're risking real breakdown, strife, potentially even violence. This has got to be fixed.
Absolutely.
Dan, you said they're taking the day off today. I don't understand. Or they're just not going to give results?
They've been a little. I'm sure they've been a little bit overwhelmed. They're not used to working,
A real job.
full days. So, well, they're going to get around to counting the nursing home votes tomorrow, and then the provisionals on Friday. So, I mean, we should know something by
April 2nd.
Then they got time, with the family for Easter. And so, they'll get around to it. We should know something by the early spring-ish, and that's fine.
Well, how many provisional ballots do you think are going to be thrown out? Those are people that go to the wrong precincts and vote, right?
I mean, it's an imponderable, and then the question is, what will the fight be? What kind of fight will one side or the other have to whoever ends up narrowly on the wrong side to get into election challenges and trying to cure provisional ballots and so on and so forth. So, I mean, this saga could drag on for actually months longer if there's a real recount challenge. So we'll see. But I think Mark makes the important point. Look, when elections start getting rigged against the Irish, that's when you know it's gone too far. That we have to draw a line somewhere, Mark, right?
Especially with the Irish, in my opinion.
There you go. Mark Glennon, founder of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks as always, Mark. Appreciate it.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
This is the time of year to enjoy life, so stop letting pain in your joints keep you from doing what you want to do this spring. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief, folks. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. No pain.